There are officer shards here, so these are really worth doing because these officers are going to be particularly hard to source otherwise. You may have noticed if you looked at the event calendar, there are no officer auctions this month. Zero. Zip. Zilch. Nada. No officer auctions. We've got Battle Pass content. You've got non-Battle Pass specific events, just giving out resources and stuff. And this one here is giving you faction, or you're earning faction, so you might want to save that. That one starts tomorrow. Again, requiring the favors. You want to do that one later in the week on the 6th. So again, don't rush to acquire some of this stuff now. Kind of get the credits and stuff for it, but don't go cashing them in. This is what we're doing now, killing the hostiles. Oh, faction favors is coming back. Complete any research. So faction favors is an SLB. Advancing the resistance here is an SMS. Okay, so there's two different events. Then you've got the solo armada targets that we're doing right now. This one will get you some Ducat shards. This is giving you out avatars. Now, I do like how they are showing you some of what the special rewards are for some of the events. Mining, PvP damage. This is for, different players of different events. Gain power. Mine materials. FKR armadas. Different ticketed events. The ticketed events are likely going to... There's a good chance the ticketed events might have officer shards in them, so you might want to be selective about which ticketed events you do. You may have to buy tickets. This may be an event month where perhaps you just focus on, one particular type, and depending on if it's paying out an officer or not. Then we do get Jellyfish Brawl back. No officer auctions. You've been holding mats for 2 months now. Yeah. I was holding myself for a couple of weeks on my smaller account here, and even on my 46 account, just kind of waiting for stuff to happen. But because these are strike team officers, which they only sold the battleship ones, now they're introducing this crew, the Interceptor crew. Not quite as good, in my opinion. They're good, but they seem like they have a little bit of an easier strategy. There's an apparent strategy to counter them, whereas the Battleship one doesn't really have that directly. La'an causes burning, and Una basically negates your shield mitigation, so all your damage goes to your hull if the fight goes more than 3 rounds. So your only option to counter that is to kill them within 3 rounds. Because you can't really stop, unless they're attacking your base and you can use Crass or something like that. So then the burning never gets applied, really. But even then, Una still does her stuff with your mitigation. The new strike team officers in this little particular group here. We'll get to them in a second. It's rough not being able to get enough of the Bajorian currency, all the different things. Yeah, that's going to be a bit of a trick too. So the new Cardassian officers here. So you've got Ducat. When he's on an interceptor fighting a ship, he's got a 20% chance to apply hull breach. If you have the other two to give him synergy, though, this will go up to 100%. So he will apply hull breach right to the opponent's ship. Hull breach, of course, increases critical damage. Now you get Damar, who's got liquid courage. When he's fighting something with hull breach, he decreases their critical hit damage by 25% if you score critical. So Ducat makes all your shots critical. Damar reduces their critical damage. so negating their critical build officers like Honor Guard, Worf, and things. I forgot what Ducats actually. Ducats is when he stacks weapons. So just like O'Brien, who will stack weapons and extra shots for a number of rounds. Yes, he is supposed to stack like O'Brien does. Um, so, round one, you hit him with the hull breach. Now increases the number of shots by 25%. Round two, another 25%. Round three, another 25%. And those should stack on top of each other. So your ships with these big firing patterns, like, say, the Pilum that has 7 shots in round one, well, some of those are going to go up a little bit. Now, 25% isn't going to change them too much. And then round two, the firing pattern is low. But round three, that ship should unleash a whole shitstorm of additional weapon shots. And yes, if you can upgrade him, this will go as high as about 50%, I think, if you get him all the way to tier 5. So you may very well see, depending on what packs are available, there will be some whales who will cash in several $100s to buy multiple Ducat shards to tier him up. That will also help with the rounding. And then Garrick over here, he increases your critical hit chance by 30% each round. So you start at 10% base with your ship. At the start of each round, he's adding 30 to it. So round one, you're at 40%. Ducat gives you the hull breach. Round one, you're at 40%. Round two, you're at 70%. At the start of round three, when you're getting all those extra shots with that Pilum, now they're all going to be 100% criticals. Now, there's two options. Your opponent's applying hull breach to you. If you want to be funny, you can have some fun with Rima and Navi in them. Usually Pan is the one applying your hull breach, but you could have a little fun and be like, thank you for giving me the hull breach. I'm going to take it. I'll boost my own critical chance with Rima. Or, use Navi over here, which she increases your mitigation, right? She boosts your mitigation. All three, armor, shield, deflection, and dodge. Thank you for giving me hull breach. I'm going to do a little better. Not really a great strategy, but hey, it's an option, right? Have a little fun. Use some officers you don't get to use very often. But the obvious answer to this is going to revolve around TOS Uhura. When fighting players, as long as you have morale, she decreases their critical hit chance by 10%. If she's the captain and you give her synergy, it's 50% on each side, so she could go up as high as 110%. So she's going to negate multiple rounds of Garrick. Garrick's not going to work and add any critical percent chances. It's going to take him like 3 rounds just to get out of the negative. Because she's going to, it's 10%. She's going to hit you with a negative 110, putting you down to minus 120. So by round 4, you'll be back to 0. Or if you just use 2 officers and she's at 60, then they're at 50%. So by round 2, they've gotten back to where they started. So they're 2 rounds behind. If you can finish the fight in 4 or 5 rounds, you won't have to worry about Garrick giving the extra criticals. You also have TOS Spock. He decreases the critical hit damage bonus of the ship by 100%, and this will tier up depending on what tier you've gotten him to. So you're not taking as much damage from criticals, or you can just stop them altogether from doing them for a few rounds. So there are some strategies in here that mess with this new strike team Cardassian group a little bit, that are a little more easier to pull off than what we saw before with the battleship crew. There isn't a counter to, La'an just hits them with burning and then increases the number of shots. Can't stop that. And then she, when she applies burning, and then Una there isn't something that stops them from, where's she at? Una. Decrease their shield mitigation. It's just, they just stop absorbing damage with their shields. There isn't a counter to this. Doesn't matter how high you boost your base mitigation. Doesn't matter how high you boost your shield strength. It's just after 3 turns, your shields ain't stopping anything anymore. and everything's going right through to the hull. So all you can do is boost your first, your basic mitigation as high as you can, so you're deflecting as much damage. But after that, it's just hull damage. So isn't she 100% on each side with synergy? You mean Uhura? I don't think so. I think she's only 50 per side. Maybe I'm mistaken about that. I thought she was only 50 per side. Let's find out. I could be wrong. I haven't used her in a little while, so I could be wrong. Let's find out. It's no worries. We'll look right now. TOS. Uhura. Right there. If we wanted to do... Oh, it is 100%. Look at that. Okay. So there you go. So you can get this. Reduces their critical hit chance by 210%. Awesome. There you go. Well, thanks, JL Special K, and welcome to the channel. Thank you for following me a couple hours ago. I do see that. Always great to have new people joining us here for all of our wonderful conversations about Star Trek Fleet Command. Yeah, so you can. I mean, this will take Garrick pretty much out of the equation, because if the fight isn't over in 7 rounds in a PvP fight, somebody messed up. So you can certainly do that. I could also give you the option then of not using all 3 officers, if you wanted to put, say Kang or somebody over here, right? Because they're going to be on an interceptor, so you have Kang, so you hit, lower their mitigation so you get more damage through. Or Khan, so you crit more, something like that, or Worf. So there's other options there. But you certainly have the ability to just sort of sack this up and at least reduce some of their critical hit chance and critical damage. That's also negating some of what Damar reduces your crit, I believe, is what we just saw there. So there you go. Group. Yeah, Damar lowers your crit damage. Dukat adds extra shots. And Garrick adds your critical hit chance. So yeah, so a little easier to counter. But again, I was watching Rev's stream earlier today, and he was talking a little bit about this, that there are only a handful of shards that are actually sort of guaranteed. You'll get some through events, you'll get some through missions, like always. And then the battle pass itself does not have a lot in it. You look at the top half of the battle pass, you're getting 4 of each in the top half. And in the bottom half, you're getting 8 and 3 more back here. You're getting 11. So you're only getting 15 of the 38 you need. Plus they gave everybody a gift chest. That gave everybody like 2 shards today. So that's 17, and then the first round of missions I did gave me 1 of each of them, so that basically would put you up to 18. So if you bought the battle pass, top and bottom, the rares, you'd have 18 out of 38. So you're still just shy of halfway to unlocking them. So where are you going to get the rest of them from? There will be some ticketed events, possibly through there or through some other events, but there are not going to be the traditional leaderboards and things. What is most likely going to be, what was sort of hinted at, is just like last month where we had the orbs fragments, where you could try and get some of the Deep Space Nine officers, but they were intermixed with some of the next generation officers, or in previous months where you had the stupid Dabo tokens and it was just sort of a random you got who you got kind of thing. That type of mechanic will be back this month, and you'll have the opportunity to get some random shards for these guys. So you might get a whole bunch of Garricks and none of Damar and not unlock him. You might get a lucky pull and get a whole officer unlock. That's probably going to be the 1/10 of 1% that hit one of those lucky polls. But I'm sure we'll see people posting some screenshots over the next few weeks once that mechanic gets released. But really, the only way you're going to be able to get them is going to be twofold. One, buying the Elite Battle Pass right here gives you 20 Ducat, also gives you some of these Dominion solo Armada directives, which could be helpful. And then I am sure there will be officer packs at some point in time available in the store. I'm not seeing them currently in here, so we'll probably wait a couple days before unleashing those on the unsuspecting villagers. And then there are little handfuls of them, not in the Armada events, um, but in the Alliance, the server milestone gives you another couple of each of them here. So again, you'll be able to pick up little bits and pieces of them along the way. But if you're really trying to guarantee you get them, this is going to be a month you're going to have to spend some cash. Or you could just say, you know what? Either I don't have an interceptor, or maybe I don't think they're as good as the battleship crew, so I'm not going to commit too heavily into them. Or maybe you get lucky. So those are the new officers this month.